So you're probably wondering if this update is worth coming back to, correct? And to that I say, maybe. I definitely log in to reallocate all your intrinsics because everyone got theirs reset. For once, DE didn't screw up anything major at this update, and honestly I'm kind of shocked. In fact, you can complete this entire update's grind in one 6-hour sitting. This does not include the grind for the new Sentinel and or perfect rolls on the new Railjack weapons and plating, but that does include the intrinsics and plexus grind. Intrinsics aren't nearly as painful as they were to get in the past, and the plexus actually comes with 3 polarities and doesn't need much XP to fully level, or at least not as much as Necromex. The only forma it really needs is an aura forma, and that's it. But take what I just said with a grain of salt, because I did get a 7-day affinity booster with the early adopters package, and I have no way of toggling it off. But since it takes such a short amount of time to max out your intrinsics, I'd jump on this before some furry on Twitter tries to convince you that decent rewards are bad for the company's bottom line. Ideally, it's best to reclaim what you've lost. Yes, even the rank 10 gunner perk, because it's actually good now as it lasts much longer. Now there are 2 interesting new mods that make impact procs also proc slash, and they're garbage. The reason they're trash is because the chance is far lower than it seems. 35% chance, and then the chance doubles to 70% on low fire rate weapons. And by the way, that takes into account your modded fire rate, not your base fire rate. The problem is you have to proc impact in order for the mod to even work. So let's say you proc impact 50% of the time, that chance is now lowered to 17.5%. If you proc impact 25% of the time, that chance is now 8.75%, so on and so forth. And on top of that, the damage is affected by the same mods as Hunter Munitions, that being raw damage mods like Serration and Augur Pact, as well as crit damage mods. So Hunter Munitions is already promoting mods that make slash procs good. The only use you'll see out of these mods are on weapons that have guaranteed impact procs, high base damage, and high crit. So weapons like the Tomb Finger, Catchmoon, Kuva Chakor, and the exception to the rule being the Impact Kuva Nukor, which is now its best variant, since more status procs on the second best status spreader is always good. For weapons that can afford to fit both mods on, like the Foeman, you effectively have guaranteed slash. However, there's no shotgun equivalent, so the Archoplasmor doesn't get its time to shine again. A lot of you guys asked me the best place to power level your Railjack, and R9 Cloud is the best due to the sheer number of enemies that spawn. You can also get a lot of relics there, but to be honest, it's kind of annoying if you're looking for wreckage and parts. Oh, and Gain Point is gone now. DE has also reduced the cost of repairing wreckage by 10 times, so instead of something costing 15k titanium, it now only costs 1.5k. The new plating component is a good addition, as now that you can bring your Railjack mods to other people's Railjacks, this fixes the immediate concern of having an MR5 player join you and sapping all the health out of your Railjack as soon as they touch the pilot seat. They also changed matchmaking, so regardless of if you own a Railjack or not, you can be matchmade with other people. This means you will actually be able to find people playing Railjack in the wild instead of that one Japanese kid that sits on your side gun or big gun doing nothing.
Eating a Mike Tyson's ass!
There are 4 new Railjack weapons. The Glazio is a sniper. The Lathe is a shotgun similar to the Cryfan, but it actually shoots 8 pellets in a very tight spread. The Talon is a hit scan minigun with a spool up and everything. And the Vort is a Fluctus-like weapon. If you're worried about the best weapon, you don't have to worry about that anymore. All the armaments are viable now, though I'd personally stay away from shotguns due to their lack of range. And your AI crewmates absolutely love hit scan weapons like the Pulsar, Photor, and the brand new Talon, due to the AI's accuracy being insane. Reactors now function as duration, strength, and range mods, instead of adding capacity, though you might want to keep any Mark II reactors you find since they will have better stats than Mark III, but only in one attribute. And lastly, battle avionics have all been nerfed in some way, shape, or form. For example, Seeker Volley costs 200 energy to use, Munitions Vortex got its range reduced, and things like Particle Ram and Void Hole now cost 30,000 endo to max, just like a normal rank 10 mod. And this is the main reason I'm not fond of changing avionics into mods, because some of them aren't worth it due to cost alone. But believe it or not, that's actually fine, since now that we have the command intrinsic tree giving us AI companions, when switched to the gunner role, they effectively do the same job as battle intrinsics once did. That being killing enemies in large volume and easier.
What am I? Your maid?
The command tree is a great addition. The AI is infinitely better than having real people as teammates, mainly because DE added a mechanic to Corpus Railjack that forces everyone to be inside the main objective as if it were a locked team door. So there's a lot of waiting there, which is annoying to say the least. Now there are 4 roles: pilot, gunner, defender, and engineer. Everyone says pilot is the worst role. Personally, I quite like it, but it is a detriment in Grineer Railjack since they will often use the side objectives specifically designed to kill Railjacks as cover. Defender IMO is the worst role since all it does is kill boarders, but you'll never encounter boarders if you have at least one crewmate on the gunner role. The gunner role is what makes battle avionics useless, and with Bane mods even more so. If Gain Point was still around, let's just say they'd be able to clear it in seconds.
Better scramble like an egg before you get folded like an omelet, nigga.
Yeah.
Last, we have the engineer role, which will auto repair hazards, including major hull breaches. So your Railjack is effectively immortal with an engineer active. Can also use Kuvaliches as your crewmate, but they are locked to the defender role, which is easily the worst, and you can't mod or change their weapons. So Lich crewmates are completely useless. But other than that, the crew is just so good that I'd take them even over my own friends, because it is simply that much faster. With the addition of Corpus Railjack, we now have more than one game mode for Railjack, but most of them are vanilla. There's Volatile, which is a much longer sabotage. You have Exterminate. There's Orphix from the Orphix Venom event, except the Orphixes spawn way more often, but they gain control much slower. And finally, the worst of all, Defense. Defense isn't as bad as I initially thought it would be, since once you go inside the main objective, your Railjack becomes invulnerable, and thank God. It would be really annoying to have to babysit your ship and a defense node at the same time, but the enemies come at you really slowly and it's pretty boring. Side note, that invulnerability applies only to Corpus Railjack and not Grineer Railjack. Also, completing a defense mission will soft lock your game, and Alt F4 is your only way out. Now, the only way the game modes truly differ from vanilla is the side objectives you have to do before you can unlock the main objective, which range from a bunch of 30-second mobile defenses to killing priority targets 10 miles away in a massive tile set while Psy hacks something, and for whatever reason DE thought it was a good idea to introduce their version of the fucking Archvile, you know, the most hated enemy in all of gaming. Other than that, Corpus Railjack isn't anything too crazy, so if you're a veteran of the original Railjack and still suffer from PTSD, the improvements won't trigger a panic attack. Now, I know a lot of you guys are curious about my thoughts on Zephyr ever since I made that one video, so let me quickly go over the rumors. Can Zephyr kill level 150 heavy gunners with her 1?
Nope.
Can Zephyr be a DPS in ESO? Is her new crit chance passive good?
Bruh.
Is Airburst a better grouping tool for Zephyr? Did Zephyr get any stronger with this rework?
Really, nigga?
There's some quality of life improvements here and there, but nothing that makes her a recommended pick over others, and there's still plenty of room for improvement. The rework only opens up one new build for her, and that's it. Her passive is a big nothing burger, to be honest, as it gives you 150% crit chance when you're in the air, but the crit chance is multiplicative, so it's not going to suddenly turn you into a bargain bin hero. Her 1 got much better hover functionality, which is great since her biggest threat was melee enemies, but you can't stay in hover if you do a heavy attack with a melee weapon, which is a shame because the best weapons to take advantage of Zephyr's new changes are glaives. Dive Bomb and Tailwind also got their damage increased by 10 times, and I know Pablo also said that it can kill level 150 heavy gunners, and that is not true at all. The only way you can get damage out of Tailwind and Dive Bomb is through the target fixation augment. Only when you have enough stacks can you kill a level 150 heavy gunner. But if you touch the ground, whether you want to or not, you will lose your stacks. Currently, if you use your operator in the air, you will keep your stacks, which allows you to grab life support and survival. But if you get CC'd, let's say your Zephyr is doing the faceplant animation, even while in the air, pop out into your operator, you're gonna lose your stacks. Target fixation has always worked like this, by the way. It's just until recently, I didn't know that the dive bomb landing animation doesn't count as being on the ground. Oh, he died instantly! But frankly, if something needs to be 52,000 times better to do decent damage, then something is fundamentally wrong. Dive Bomb's range also isn't that big either, and it will feel even smaller because the AoE doesn't go through walls. It only goes around you and below you within line of sight. Also, if you get caught in any sort of nullification during the Dive Bomb animation, there is nothing you can do until you're dead. No, I'm stuck! He silenced me! He silenced me in Dive Bomb! Bro! You see that bullshit? What am I supposed to do about that? Air Burst still isn't great when it comes to damage or grouping for Zephyr, and you can't see the enemy health bars at all when they're hit with it. It tethers enemies to the ground now instead of just a quick ragdoll. This actually makes it a better Helmuth ability for melee frames since it's not affected by duration. Turbulence was left completely unchanged, but if an enemy shoots you through your own tornadoes, turbulence gets ignored. Tornadoes are a bit better and a bit worse. Let me explain. When you hold tornadoes, they become stationary in a pattern formation, and this works out great for regular tornadoes, but isn't great for funnel cloud. For regular tornadoes, now that they're always their max size, anything that gets ragdolled by the tornadoes can be hit just by shooting the tornadoes, similar to Hydroid's Puddle. And while there's a noticeable loss in damage running only 3 versus 8 tornadoes, the AoE in that which you can spread damage is absolutely massive, to the point where ragdolls aren't so bad for Zephyr anymore. But on the flip side, you have funnel clouds. And since stationary tornadoes now have a set pattern, this hurts funnel cloud's damage output, because funnel cloud really shine when they're directly on the enemy and bunched up as much as possible. This actually makes the mobile tornadoes the best for funnel cloud as far as damage output goes, but of course you have to deal with the tornadoes running amok. So the takeaway here is that vanilla tornadoes are now viable and easier to use, and definitely less resource intensive since you don't need Helmuth to maximize it, plus you aren't getting punished for ragdolling enemies. While funnel clouds are still better for damage and stat spreading, electric is still the best element to infuse into tornadoes and causes a lot less lag now. But Zephyr still has 2 abilities that are real stinkers, since Dive Bomb and Tailwind don't do damage or disable enemy collision, and Air Burst is useless since regular tornadoes can group enemies by themselves. And funnel cloud still doesn't work well with ragdolls, so in summary, not much has changed, and it's probably going to stay that way for a while. Now I'm going to quickly talk about some minor changes with the update that you guys might want to know about. When I was writing the script for this video, I made a community post asking if there was anything I'd missed, and a lot of you guys said the new Sentinel Nautilus, the Railjack focused Sentinel. Its precept Auto Omni allows you to repair hazards, including major hull breaches, instantly just by being near them, and the second precept, albeit a bit delayed, is a grouping tool with a large range, which is really good for frames like a Lavos. The only downside is that it's not one of the beefy boys like Shade, Diriga, or the Primes. Its weapon is literally, and I mean literally, a copy and paste Glaxion. So if you're still using Artax for condition overload, it might be a good idea to switch to this instead so you can proc more status overall. The Lavos changes exist, and they are extremely minor, so let's move on. The corrupted crit mods, Critical Delay and Creeping Bullseye, have gotten a buff, and they're actually worth using on weapons that don't care about fire rate, like the Vectis or the Tonkor, but they cannot be equipped with the standard crit mods, like Point Strike and all that. The corrupted variant for shotguns did not get the same treatment, however. The Kuva Tonkor finally got its arming distance removed, so it's actually usable now, but the regular Tonkor did not. Umbro Intensify got buffed by 11% when the set bonus is active, and the Carmine Penta is in the game after being Chinese exclusive for a while, but I don't understand the hype around it since it's literally just the regular Penta with a higher magazine and fire rate, but a much lower Riven disposition, even compared to the Sakura Penta. You can actually heal your Railjack from the Forge as well as purchase full energy restores. And lastly, Ash and Oberon are now Railjack exclusive, meaning you can no longer get Ash as low as MR2 without a taxi, and Oberon is only there to dilute the loot table. And with that, I've said all I need to say about this update. While there wasn't much in this update, there was certainly a lot to talk about. This video was originally going to be really short, but when I got all my thoughts out on paper, it became nearly 5 pages long. Frankly, I just want to get this over with as soon as possible, so that's why I decided to make one big video instead of several small videos. But yeah, anyway guys, that's all for me. I want to thank you guys for watching, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.